Welcome to episode 2 of The Wealth Rant. I'm Graham David, and in this episode, I want to get a little bit philosophical, I guess, a little bit thoughtful, but not for the point of just pontificating, but I really want you to consider some of the ideas we're going to talk about in this podcast. You see, depending on the age you are right now, it's very easy, isn't it, to find yourself almost on a bit of a track. You're on a constant going forward through life. And once in a while, you just have to take stock and think, well, where am I going? And is this working? And is this what I thought it was going to be? And am I happy with how everything's going? And if you're not, then what, if anything, can you do to change, to get a new direction? And that really is the purpose of this episode today. So there's no tools or tips or techniques that I'm going to share with you. But what I am going to do is to encourage you just have a bit of a think. Almost, let's consider it like a life audit. All right. Because there are various things in your life that, depending on where you are and how old you are and what's happening in your life right now, you might be happy with. You might feel need some tweaks, some adjustments, some things you think are just terrible, but that's what they are at the moment. And the aim of this episode really is to, I guess, help you to tease out. Sometimes people like to write this. Sometimes people just like to think about it. Sometimes people want to hear this and then just let it mull through their brains for the next days or weeks. But it's really to help you. My aim for this is to help you if there's something in your life that you're thinking, I'm not quite happy with that, is to help you realize that and help you get to the point where either you're going to get comfortable with how it is, or you're going to decide to make some changes. And what the changes are, of course, will depend upon you and your life and people that depend on you. But let's dig into how this could look and let's have a little think around because I did start by saying it depends what age you are. And one of the interesting things when you talk to as many people as I do, my life, my career has been often talking to large numbers of people multiple times in a week, whether that's online or face to face, because of the training consultancy work I do. And there's a question I found really blows people away. It's only got 3 words, and I've alluded to it already. And the question is this, and it's a question I'd ask you to consider right now. Are you happy? Now, I often ask my coaching clients that question, and I ask them without any warning. And I can tell you a look of absolute confusion crosses their face most of the time. They go, "What, happy? What, like work? I mean, do you mean my life, or do you mean relationships, or what were?" And I let them do that for a moment. I say, no, no, no. The question is very simple. The question is, are you happy? That's it. Now, the question is a very simple one, but it's a very profound one. Because as I'm asking you that question right now, I would challenge you to answer it. Are you happy? That's a big question. So let's break it down. You're happy in how you look, your level of physicality, your fitness, your presentation of yourself, your hair, your face, your body. I mean, those are all things, right? Your clothes. These are all things about how you look. Are you happy about how you look? Are you? Some things you want to change? All right, let's change direction. What about work? Are you happy with your career? Do you have a job? Do you have the job you want? Are you at the level you wish to be? You tried for promotions and not got where you want to get to? Or are you, it feels a bit like just paddling, treading water at the moment. You're just trying to survive. You've got to pay the bills, right? Most of us have been there at some point. So you hate your job, but hey, you got to pay the bills. Or is your job okay, but your boss is dreadful? Or the department you work in is awful? Or have you got a big plan to move or step up? Or are you thinking about starting a brand new job or a brand new career? Are you thinking of going for promotion? You see, this is all from one question. Are you happy? And so far, we've only talked about how you look and your jobs. You can see how quickly this question can spiral out of control. Let's ramp up the pressure. Do you have enough money? You're comfortable with how much money you have? Now, of course, the answer to that is always, well, yeah, a little bit more, a little bit more. But is that the answer? Do you actually find that what you spend is covered by what you earn? In that case, are you okay with that? And if you do want more, you need more, you feel like you have to earn more, what are you doing to make more money? Are you in that, well, one day space? Is it that you drink too much? Do you keep meaning to stop smoking? You've moved to vaping, but that's not much better either. Do you like drinking but want to cut back? Do you like the idea of being more fit but you're not? Do you want to lose weight but you can't give up those pizzas and those burgers? Let's change direction again. What about your relationships? How happy are you in your relationships? Your partner, your significant other. How's that going? What about with your children? What about with your parents? What about with your friends? Do you have friends? By the way, I'm just going to throw this in as a quick caveat. Many people have far fewer friends than you might think. Many people actually don't really have close friends. Now, I'm not saying that's a good thing, but I am saying if you sometimes beat yourself up that you don't have the exciting social life that you see on Insta or TikTok, it's okay. But also, you can change that. Now, I've asked you lots of topics, right? Body and health and appearance, and money and career, and partner, and children, and fitness. But let's just ask one final sort of category. This is all from Are You Happy? What about you? How close to you are is the you that you want to be? Are you as confident as you want to be? Are you, I'm trying to think of random things. Are you somebody who loves Mamma Mia, the ABBA thing, but would never dress like that in public? Are you somebody that goes to work and lives one life, but then at the weekend, you love to dress up as a vampire? Again, you understand these aren't specifics, these are the concepts. Are you the person you want to be? Are you hiding who you are because you're worried about how other people will react? It's very interesting, isn't it? Let's take all of those ideas. There's, I don't know, six or seven there, all around. Are you happy with who you are? What do you want to change? And already you might have highlighted two or three things you're thinking, no, actually, I'm not happy about that. I do need to make some changes. But let's pursue this idea a little bit. Because depending upon your age or depend upon your perspective on this, you've probably heard of the phrase midlife crisis. Now, I am now past the age where you have a midlife crisis, or I suppose I still could still get one, depending on how long I'm going to go for, but you get the point, right? Often midlife crisis is a phrase that leveled at people in their 40s and 50s. And it's often leveled because something major has happened in their life. It's frequently to do with a relationship or a career, perhaps the ending of a career. It's frequently to do with um, something like a health challenge where people have thought, oh my goodness, I've got to this age, late 30s, 40s, 50s, I need to do something. And what they often do, you might have noticed this. And again, this is why I say it depends on your age. If you're in your 20s, you might think of a midlife crisis as something that's quite laughable, bit of a snigger, right? If you are of the age of a midlife crisis, you might understand it better. And if you are past that age, if you're a little bit older, you might think, no, I get why people do that. What is a midlife crisis? Well, it might be down to a relationship. It might be down to a suddenly realizing your career is not what you want. It might be down to that sudden health moment where your body lets you know that what you've been doing, it can't be doing it a lot longer because there's going to be serious outcomes. And this is where often people find themselves making sudden dramatic changes. they start hitting the gym, or they cut out meat or booze or cigarettes or vaping, or sometimes you'll see them get a whole new relationship or a whole new wardrobe or a whole new car. The joke is often, that there'll be a man of a certain age with a much younger partner, and there's often that sniggering behind their back. Oh, he's had a midlife crisis. He's got his pair of leather trousers, started to ride a motorbike. He's got a sports car. He's grown a ponytail. And there's a sort of a woman's version. She's had a midlife crisis. It was a woman of a certain age. She's lost some weight, looks really good. Started getting some clothes that just not suitable for her. I don't know who these people are judging this, but you've seen this much younger partner. And I think there's something that we need to think, and I'll tell you why I'm getting into this whole thought in just a moment. Those are people who have suddenly had something happen to them, career change, something's happened with their partner, health challenge, and they've suddenly thought, oh, good grief, this is it. This is my one and only time on this spinning rock. I need to make some changes. And this is often where you see people go, do you know what? I want to get a sports car. I want to go out at night, even though I'm in my 50s and haven't done that for 20 years. That's what I want to do. Now, they might do it for a bit and decide it's not for them. They might do it and decide that's absolutely what they want. This is why suddenly people ditch everything, buy a van, and set off around Europe because they are done with going in, day out to a boss that doesn't appreciate them, to a job that doesn't pay them what they think is enough money. This is why suddenly people have relationship breakdowns and go, that's it. This is a person that I thought I was going to be with. We have grown apart, or they have changed, or I have changed. Whatever, there's no point getting caught up in blame here. But people do this, right? And they get to that point suddenly where they think, I'm going to be me. I'm going to be the me that I feel I ought to be, the me that I wanted to be, the me that I should have been. My point would be this: if you haven't had a midlife crisis, if you are looking at those people sniggering quietly, my challenge to you, the best, nicest possible way would be, how do you know you're not going to have the same thing when you get to that age? And if you are, if that is going to happen to you, why don't you think about that now? Why don't you consider what you actually want to be, what you want out of this life? If you're not doing the job you want, why are you still doing it? Now, look, let's be sensible. Bills need to be paid. Jobs aren't that easy to get. So if you've got a job and it's working, it's paying the bills, no one's suggesting you ditch that because you want to be a wandering minstrel. That said, if what you want to do is to start a rock band, you probably ought to get on with that because it's later than you think. I was speaking to somebody just a couple of days ago who is a business owner, owns a pretty large business in this area. Has got a number of outlets, makes very good money, professional job, really, serious looking guy. And he travels all over the UK at weekends to sing. He sings in weddings, he sings in gigs, he sings in bookings. Anybody that will book him, he turns up and sings. And I said, I've got to ask you, why do you do that? I mean, you don't, I assume, make a lot of money. So, no, half the time I'm losing. By the time I've driven there or I've paid for a hotel, what they actually pay compared to the cost of me doing it. He said it's not worth it. But he said, that's my release. I spend all week being professional. I spend all week, oh, well, I think we should do this, all suited and booted. But he said, my weekends, that's it. He said, I'm the rock god I never got to be when I was younger. And I think that's such a good balance. I think that's a really smart idea. And it's not just a case of the career, but it's about anything that you're doing long enough that you've stopped thinking about why you do it and why it's like that. There's nothing to stop you now, today, this minute, deciding, I want to do something different. So I would challenge you, if you've identified one of the things that I was talking about earlier on that you think, yeah, I'm not happy with that, what are you going to do today, now, to move towards where you want to be? And I'd challenge you to ask yourself, what's stopping you? Now, sometimes it'll be things like you don't have enough money to do what you want. But okay, then you need to figure that out, or you need to figure a different way, or you need to figure a way that you can afford it, or you need to figure a cheaper version, or in short, you need to do some thinking and some working out to get closer to what you want. Lots of people would love to be rock stars, but not going to happen. But they get their rock star fill by, like this chap I told you about, traveling around singing, or they join a weekend band, or they write songs, or they run a fan club for something. In other words, they get themselves associated with the thing they love and then live vicariously in that way. A lot of people who have very normal everyday jobs will, at the weekend, dress up as, what was my example earlier on, vampires, and do a vampire weekend. Okay, again, please understand, these aren't specifics. These are random off the top of my head things. And my point is this: if you don't make these changes, if you don't pursue what you want, if you don't think, all right, this person that I've been with for this amount of time, actually, it's not there anymore. Of course, I'm not saying you do anything rash. Oh, that's it, it's over. But I am saying this is your one and only chance on this spinning rock. And it's not about being selfish. I don't advocate being selfish. Look, life is a series of adjustments and acceptances, and you can have that, but you can't have that. If you want to be with that person, you can't pursue that life. If you want that job, then these ways of behaving aren't acceptable. If you want, and so on, right? If you want to be super fit, but you also like going out every night and drinking and eating kebabs, one of those two is going to have to be altered or got rid of. Excuse me. Or you're going to have to make a bit of an accommodation. So as we go through life, there are accommodations. As we go through life, you have to give up one thing to have another thing. And that's okay. That's the balance of life. But my challenge I come back to is, what's going to stop you from getting to a certain age and thinking, I should have done this, I should have done that, I should have done that. I wish I had tried that. Why don't you try it today? Or why don't you at least start to put plans in place? Now, here's why you might not. You might worry what other people say about you. Of all the things I think I've got pretty much nailed and sorted. You see, my job, my businesses that I run are as close as they likely can be to things I love doing. And although there are bits and pieces I don't like, or there are days that I'll put particularly long hours in, or occasionally I have not so good clients, it's rare, but I'm largely as close to where I want to be. So for me, working very long hours is absolutely fine because I love it. It's well paid. It gives me what I feel I want and need. And if you're not there, if that's not where you are, what are you going to do to change and alter that? It's really easy to get caught in a track, isn't it? It's easy to get to the point. It was about 5 years in my 20s when I was just doing terrible jobs. And I, if you'll allow me just to talk about my experience for a moment, I had this vague idea that I wanted to do something to do with drama. Now, let me explain. For me to do something to do with drama didn't mean I was going to be in a soap opera. That wasn't necessarily what I wanted. It was anything that might be an element of performance. So that could include, for example, corporate training or presenting on TV or doing adverts or nowadays, of course, things like this, podcasts or working on social media. Those things didn't exist then. But I had this idea that I wanted to do something like that. Now, that was good, right? That was my drive. But like everybody, I've got to pay the bills. So I'd frequently find myself doing an absolutely awful job. And I did so many awful jobs, office based largely. Um, I would get paid on average £3.50 per hour. Right, this is absolutely true. £3.50 per hour. This was before the minimum wage. So I was taking home between 120 and £150 per week. That was what I was living on, 6 grand a year. All right. This is early 90s. And I knew I was doing jobs I hated, no question about that. They were meaningless to me. I didn't like them. I had no interest in them. I wanted to do something to do with drama, performance. But I made a massive mistake. And the massive mistake I made was I had this vague idea. I'd get a job that would be okay. I'd work really hard at it, I thought. I'd make some money, I thought. Then I would get some money stacked up and then I would pursue drama. But here's what actually happened. I'd get into a new job, I'd be flat broke. I would work at it. I would get them to like me. I'd get kind of good at it. And then I'd start to um, drift a little bit because I was putting long hours in at a job I hated. I never had any energy to do anything I wanted. And I want you to hear this and understand this. So I wasn't applying for work because I'd get home, I'd be exhausted. Frequently, I'd do 2 or 3 nights a week, I'd do overtime. So instead of finishing at 5 o'clock, I'd be finishing at 8 o'clock. But this would be a job that if I started at 9, by 5 past 9, I'd be climbing the walls with boredom. I'd be waiting for lunch because I'd hate the job that much. I'd take every opportunity to walk away from my desk, to get a coffee, to do literally anything. So if I then got to 5 o'clock and then did another 3 hours, I can tell you this, the first thing I did having had those 3 hours was to head straight to the pub. And any money I made in my overtime, I spent in the pub. Now, looking back, this is obviously stupid, but at the time, I didn't notice because I was paying the bills. I thought I'd worked hard. I deserved a drink. And I did that for about 5 years. And here's what happened. I would do a job. I'd hate it. I'd hate it. I'd hate it. I'd get one tiny glimpse of something else. And I'll give you an example of one tiny glimpse of something else. At one point, I was actually making quite good money for me back then. I was probably making 350 to £500 a week. Hated the job, but that was an amazing money for me. And then I got a job as an extra in a theatre production. And it was a big theatre production, right? And the show ran, I think, for 10 nights. A couple of days we did both, we did the two shows, the matinee and the evening performance. So I don't know, 12 performances, something like that. And I did a few rehearsals because I was just an extra. I didn't have many, I had a couple of lines, but it was pretty simple. And for that, I got paid 10, yes, 10, 1 0, £10 per performance. So my entire performance was 120 quid, my entire run. But here's the thing, I loved it. I cannot tell you how alive I felt. I cannot tell you the thrill I got from crossing town with my bag, my little snacks in it, going in through the stage door, signing in, going and getting changed, chatting to the other extras, chatting to some of the actors, some of whom were lovely, some not so much. The buzz before performance, hearing the audience coming in, being part of that whole event. And at the end, obviously, as the extras, we were kind of, we were just padding, but it was incredible. And £10 a night's performance compared to the 350, 500 quid, no comparison. And I came through that and I thought, I've got to find a way to do more performance. And I decided that I would, from that day on, only take jobs that I was prepared to drop like that. And it fundamentally changed everything because within 6 months, this is a true story. The very next job I took, £3.50 an hour, hated it, but I did the bare minimum. I did enough to make the money to pay the bills. I was arriving when I was supposed to arrive. I was leaving the moment I could leave. And every spare moment I could, my lunch times, I was applying for jobs. I was sending out my CV. I was going through drama things, literally everything. Within 6 months, I got a job that took me from £3.50 an hour to £20 an hour. Now, again, this is 30 years ago, and that was just amazing. But that £20 an hour was working in the space I wanted to. It had a degree of performance to it. It was working with people. It was presenting work. And the job came in on a Sunday night. I was so lucky. Somebody had dropped out. Mine was the next CV. The guy called me. We really hit it off. He said, listen, but I need you here tomorrow morning. So I had made this choice just to ditch the other thing and go straight into it. I started the next day at this new job, called up the old job. A couple of days, I managed to go in, see my old manager, whose name I don't remember, barely remember him, but he was a really decent bloke. He said, look, completely get it. I knew you were never going to stay here. You're a good worker. You were always destined for other things. We shook hands and wished each other the best. And the reason I've taken time to tell you that story is this. It's so easy to get caught up in the minutiae, the details, the day to day, whether that is how you look, what you dress, what you wear, your relationship, your job, not having a job, your boss, all of those things. It's so easy to get caught up in those things. And I want you tonight, today, this morning, tomorrow, whatever you're watching or listening to this podcast, I want you to take time to think about this. Are you happy? And if you're not, what are the areas you're not happy in? And if you know what areas you're not happy in, you already know what you need to do. Stop worrying what other people think about you. There's an old quote. If we knew how little other people think about us, we'd stop worrying about what they think about us because they don't. Your nearest and dearest do. They care for you, they love you, and that's that. But the vast majority of people don't care. It's irrelevant to them. We're all busy living our own lives. We're all busy picking our way and making mistakes. So my strong suggestion to you, my strong guidance to you is right now, off the back of this podcast, take time to consider, are you happy? And if you're not happy, what are the things you need to change? And if you know what things you need to change, what are the changes you need to start to make? Some of these changes will take years. Some of these changes will take months. Some will take weeks. And some are things you can start to put into place now. When I made that simple change, I want this style of work. I will therefore only go for this style of work, and any other job I take in the meantime to pay the bills, I will be happy to drop the moment something else comes in. I'll stop doing extra work for it because I'm never going to, I just don't care. And I never had energy for it. And all my energy went in the way I wanted. Now imagine what would happen to you if you did the same thing for your relationship, for your fitness, for your food intake, for your making money, for your saving, for your side hustle. You could do this anything you like. That is my episode 2 for this Wealth Rant podcast. I really hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please consider following. It's a brand new podcast. I really appreciate you being here. I appreciate your support. I appreciate you commenting, and I appreciate you following and seeing what else you can do to help you get a bit closer to where you want to be. I'll see you next time.